2011, 302,621 child abuse reports were made and investigated in Texas alone. According to the 2008 to 2011 report, Child Welfare Outcomes, which was prepared by the Children's Bureau of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. These investigations resulted in a report of nearly 66,000 child abuse victims. That's a total of over 236,000 reports that were investigated and either dismissed or classified as having no merit. This astonishing number is the reason I chose psychology as my field of study. Many of us have been or know someone who has been victim to child abuse. Child abuse is a very touching issue to have to address. And if it's not addressed appropriately, it can have devastating results for the victim. So let's talk about the child's point of view, the responsibility of the investigator, and the long-term effects that a case that doesn't get a resolution can have on the child. Let's first consider the perspective of the child. In many cases, the abuser is a parent. The children relate to their parent, and they believe they're supposed to be loyal to their parents. But society teaches us what constitutes abuse and teaches us that it's wrong. So when you combine the two ideas in a child's mind, you come out with some pretty bizarre results. A child is often afraid of telling anyone what's going on because they don't want to get their parents in trouble. So they start keeping the problems to themselves. In many cases, the children recognize that the abuse is wrong and they want it to stop, but they don't know how to make it stop because of their loyalty to their parents. A lot of times the children are also convinced by the abuser that they are responsible for the abuse because they were being disobedient or they were being bad and they needed to be punished. Additionally, fear or intimidation may be used to prevent the child from going to anyone for fear of further consequences. When a child is afraid to talk about the abuse and the abuser is capable of manipulating the investigation, the case can be very difficult to prove, thus resulting in cases that are dismissed. This brings me to my next point. Individuals who investigate claims of child abuse serve as the interpreters between the victims and the people with the power to change the situation. It's a pretty heavy responsibility. The investigators must possess extensive knowledge about the signs of abuse and the behaviors of the abusers. The Department of Family and Protective Services website states that one way to determine if there is likelihood that a child may be abused in the future is by assessing whether or not the family is willing and able to use family and community resources to deal with any safety threats. Abusers often appear to be agreeable to these suggestions because they don't want to appear guilty of the abuse. The investigator is then responsible for being able to see past that agreeable demeanor and being able to recognize the lack of sincerity and the lack of honesty. If the investigator is unable to identify the manipulation, then they themselves can be convinced that there is no warrant for their investigation, concluding that the case is dismissed. Sadly, we're left to wonder what happens to those children. That moves us to my final point. The child abuse in itself causes many problems for the victim throughout their life, but cases that go unresolved have a whole different set of issues. The abuse goes on longer, and just because the investigator got involved does not mean that the abuse will stop. The investigation itself can often lead to further and harsher abuse. The child may develop a feeling of hopelessness because nobody believes them. They keep their problems to themselves rather than asking for help. It's not hard to imagine that these types of issues can follow a person throughout their life and affect every aspect of their future, from their relationships to their job performance. Children are the future of our world, and that makes it our responsibility to protect them where we can. On that note, let's come to a close. Now that we've talked about the child's perspective, the responsibility of the investigator, and the long-term effects that unresolved cases can have, I'd like for you to consider how you can help. What can you do? I chose to go into psychology. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to better understand the victim and communicate with them so that I can help get to the bottom of these unresolved cases and find justice for them. children suffer at the hands of a deranged and cruel